Okay, so welcome everyone. Most of you know, but I'm Jenny Nemko, the founder of Talk Matters, and a really warm welcome to old and some new supporters this evening. And of course, to the team from Tech2Peace, an amazing initiative that we're going to meet in a few minutes. I've just returned to London from 4 weeks in Israel, and it was an intense time, times difficult and sad. And I want to tell you about the state memorial ceremony for victims of terrorism in Jerusalem that we went to. Terry and I were there because our friend's son was murdered 27 years ago. And as soon as Prime Minister Bennett got up to speak, there was a huge commotion behind us. There was shrieking, screaming and shouting that went on for at least 10 minutes. And it was really scary. I thought maybe somebody had got in from outside and a bomb would be thrown. But someone who was translating for us said that these were all bereaved families who were full of hatred and anger with Bennett and the government. And some were angry that there were Arabs in the coalition where members of their families had been murdered by Arabs. And the shrieking went on and on and on, and the rest of the audience, including my friend and her daughter, were quietly crying. And I thought that if there'd been a disturbance like that at a British state ceremony, the people would have been evicted. But Bennett just stood calmly waiting for the people to be quiet. And then he restarted. And apparently he said that he understood their anger and the heightened emotion of the day. And he got on with his speech, paying respect to the dead. I wanted to tell you about this because this incident and other violent things that happened when we were in Israel, showing the hatred of both sides for the other, continues really to convince me that Talk Matters is the only way forward. The Israel-Palestine situation isn't simple, and many of us have very complicated feelings about Israel, the occupied territories and the prospects of peace. But recognizing hatred is simple, and that's what Talk Matters is all about. Combating fear of the other that grows into hatred if left alone, and supporting programs that enable people from different backgrounds to get to know each other. There's no point waiting for the people at the top to change. The more Israelis and Palestinians engage in talk, the better. And Talk Matters has done really well. We now represent over 30 initiatives. We've increased our mailing list significantly, and we're publishing articles and giving interviews. And we've reached one of our aims, which is this, our 10th webinar. So we are bringing people together, and this is our goal. And if you share this goal, please set yourself a small goal. It doesn't have to be enormous. A good one would be to encourage one more person to join the Talk Matters mailing list. We want to tell more people about the positive steps that initiatives like Tech2Peace are making. So enough from me for now. We're going to find out about Tech2Peace. I'm going to hand over to Yuri Rosenberg, the co-founder and one of the facilitators of Tech2Peace. Thank you, Yuri. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I'll start off introduce myself. I'm 45 years old. I live half the time in the UK and half the time in Israel, and I'm originally from Haifa. We started Tech2Peace 4.5 years ago after a failure. After 10 years of me and my Palestinian partner, which is not on this talk, her name is Abir, we tried very hard for 10 years to bring Israelis and Palestinians together through dialogue only. No technology, no entrepreneurship, just talking together. Because me and her had a very good and a powerful experience abroad, that I first time met a Palestinian and I was shocked how important this is and how hard it is and how we need to do it more and more. And she had the same feeling. So we just tried to bring more and more people to dialogue. But as I said, it was kind of a failure. I'm not talking about Tech2Peace, I'm talking about before that. Why was it a failure? Because only dialogue, when we did only dialogue, it only catered, we managed only to preach to the choir. We only managed to bring people like you and me. They're already convinced, the people who are already quite leftist from the Israelis and Palestinians, who are already on the good side, they already understand each other and want to understand each other. Another thing is that only dialogue brought people for once, twice, We didn't feel that we can bring people for a long time and a substantial time. And things are so tough in Israel and Palestine that we need an ongoing community, and dialogue was just not enough. And then we met the third co-founder. His name is Tomer. So we are three co-founders, and he worked in a high-tech company, that teaches computers and high-tech and IT skills to young adults. And when I met him, I said, okay, let's combine what we do with me and Abir with what you guys do. So let's bring high-tech and entrepreneurship to dialogue, and let's make something that is a community of people who want to first bring a kind of a professional development to their lives, and also to bring them to dialogue. So bringing Israelis and Palestinians together, not just for talking, okay, but to do something together and to build a community and a growing community of professionals, young people that can work together in the future, that can understand each other very well and kind of empathize with each other because they know each other through dialogue, but also have a lot in common because they want to get a good job. They want to maybe open a startup. They want to do things together. So our vision was that. And in the first seminar, we just had a pilot seminar 4.5 years ago, 30 people, 15 Jews, 15 Palestinians. And that's how it started. We put them together for 12 days. Half of the time they did dialogue, half of the time they did high-tech and entrepreneurship. And this is how we started. Afterwards, it grew and grew, and they became alumni, and more people came, and more people. Each time, another 30 people, another 30 people. And now we have our 12th cohort. Soon you will see them. And the alumni became our trainers, and they became the facilitators, and they became embedded in our program. So today, everything is run by our alumni. We are a community of 350 almost alumni and people, and will grow to be hundreds, and hopefully make big changes in Israel and Palestine. People will work together already. People will open startups. People will see that working together is beneficial, but they will not ignore the conflict. Unlike other places that just work together, we believe that Israelis and Palestinians really need to understand each other, to feel each other, and to see what it's all about, and to care about each other. Because if it's just working together, it's not good enough. So this is my pitch, and I want to introduce to you my friend Adnan, which is an alumni from the first seminar, and also our board member. He was so in love with Tech2Peace, and he'll tell me soon, that he became very active, and in the end, we just had to take him to the board because we needed a representative of the alumni, and because he's amazing. So Adnan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Uri. So my name is Adnan, and I'm born and raised in East Jerusalem. Speaking Arabic and English, I never spoke Hebrew. I never had one single Jewish friend until of the age 22. Even though I live in Jerusalem and I see Jews, Israelis in front of me all of the time on the buses in the city. But my only interaction with the other side was on the checkpoints when they searched me. And I had a lot of fear and a lot of stereotypes about the other. And I finished my degree in technology, and I wanted to have a job in Tel Aviv because they pay good there. I was applying, but not getting any jobs because of I don't have Hebrew, and I also had the cultural barrier and not enough tech experience because I was just a recent graduate. Then on Facebook, I heard about Tech2Peace. An advertisement just popped up in my news, and it said, come learn high-tech skills and dialogue between Palestinians and Israelis. It was very interesting. I wanted to do this camp. It was for 2 weeks, but I was afraid of applying because it had the word peace in it. And for some Palestinians, when they see that, they say it's normalization, it's triation, or anything like that. But I said, I want to learn. I want to hear the stories. I want to get a job. I wanted a life. I wanted to understand the other side too. So I applied for that program, and I told my parents that I'm going for a tech conference or something like this. I got accepted. For the first time ever, I take Egged bus and I go to Yeruham, which is a city in the south of Israel, a town. And there I met the diverse people of Palestine and Israel, the religious, the secular, the right wing, left wing, on the Palestinian side and on the Israeli side. It was an amazing place to ask any question I want to anyone and just get instant answer. And also I shared my stories and they liked it. There, for the first time ever, I heard I was sharing my story as a person who crosses the checkpoint. And for the first time ever, I heard a story of someone who was a soldier on that checkpoint and how he also felt during that experience. Anyways, fast forward, after 2 weeks of learning high-tech and dialoguing all day, I gained a lot of confidence. I come back to Jerusalem. I go to West Jerusalem for the first time ever and go to Tel Aviv by myself and maneuvering and talking to people without being afraid and applying for jobs. And eventually, after some more training, I started my startup myself and I got investment. And today I started volunteering for Tech2Peace because of everything I've gained from there. And it's a place, the only place that gave me hope. And I wanted to share that hope with my friends. I started to invite them to the community. And because I volunteered a lot, I became a board member here in the organization. And I have many more reasons why to invest also in Tech2Peace specifically rather than other peace organizations, because the tech brings people even on the extreme side. Extreme right-wing people would come for the tech and for the name of Google for startups and for the branding that we're having. And the community that we have in our organization, Tech2Peace, the after seminar program, the alumni program is the uniquest here in the region. And we must keep everyone involved in our community. That's how we get bigger and bigger.
Thank you very much, Adnan. So yeah, you heard from one alumni from the first seminar. And now I want to pass the floor to another alumna of us, my son. And what's special about my son, that just before less than 1 year, she was a participant in the program, and now she's already staff in the program that's happening right now. So my son will tell her story and also show a bit of the program right now. We're having a seminar in Hatzeva. Hatzeva, nobody knows where it is. Don't worry if you've never heard this name. It's in the middle of nowhere in the desert on the way to Eilat. So my son is there and Jake also is there. So my son will tell about herself as a participant and also as a staff member now in the Hatzeva seminar. And afterwards, she will show you a bit around to see, because you're in a very nice time because a seminar is actually happening. Seminar, like I told you, 12 days, new Palestinians and Israelis. It's not alumni, it's mostly people that are totally new. Only the staff are alumni. And my son will tell you more about it. So my son, the floor is yours. Tell us about yourself and show us the seminar.
Hi, can you hear me first of all?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first of all, I want to thank the people that came to listen, because it's not something that's obvious, and it says about who you are as people that you want to know more. So I really appreciate it. So to understand my experiment as a participant, you're gonna have to hear a little bit about how was my sound before the seminar. So my sound before the seminar was very awkward. I came from a city that is only Arab, and I had no contact with the Jews. During school, they used to teach us Hebrew. Hebrew was my worst subject. I was, let's say, a straight A student, although we don't use this this grading system. But I was a very good student at school, and the only subject that I could always have trouble with was speaking Hebrew. Whenever we'd go to buy like clothes from Carmel, which is a Jewish city that's next to us, I'd always count on my mom or my father to speak to the people that are selling us whatever they are selling us. And when I went to university for the first time, I was put in the same class with Jewish people, with Arab people from mixed cities, and with other Arabs like me that don't know how to speak Hebrew. So I used to feel a lot of inferiority compared to Arabs that knew how to speak Hebrew. I did not find my voice. I could not know how to speak. I'd avoid all and every sort of conversation with anyone because I wouldn't want to open my mouth and make a fool of myself because I couldn't speak the language. So in my mind, there was a big barrier and a big wall that to me, I can see a possibility in the future in which I can be okay or normal or behave friendly with Jewish people, not out of hate, but out of me not seeing the possibility. So fast forward, I came to the seminar. I actually got an email from university about the seminar, and I signed up for it. I saw tech in Tech2Peace. I was like, yay, cool, you know, as a biomedical engineer student, let's get more skills, let's add them to the CV. I was like, oh, maximum I won't talk in the dialogue sessions because I don't feel like I have anything to say. So first day of the seminar came. It came right after May events. For those of you who don't know, during the May events, war erupted between Israel and Gaza. And there was a lot of tension in university. You live in Tel Aviv. I'd hear from the Arab students that that's it. Israeli Jews just, they don't want Arabs, they don't understand us, they will never understand us. And hearing only this from all sorts of sides ever since I grew up, I didn't want to believe that it was true. So I said, okay, fine. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna ask for myself and I'm gonna see for myself and see what the other side says about whatever that is happening there. So I went to the seminar. I actually ended up enjoying the dialogue sessions way more than the tech sessions. I ended up being the person that speaks the most during the dialogue sessions. I found a dialogue staff that speaks with genuinity, that speaks with empathy, and I found a lot of other different people like me that share similar experiences as me, that all have always felt as weird as me, that have always felt like they were outsiders. And I decided to open myself up to this community, although I was a little bit skeptical at first. I was like, I'm gonna test the water, see what they're saying is true or not. While I was doing the dialogue, I went through a process. I did some thinking on my own. Everything that I listened to, everything that I shared, every experience and every story that I've said and heard made me think on my own and made me change my mind on my own and made me say, no, I haven't been thinking about this right since the beginning, and made me want to say that, no, there is something wrong here. And although it's really hard for me as an Arab Palestinian to say this, but there's something wrong and I need to change it. So after the seminar was a very beautiful experience for me. I got a lot of positive feedback from it, and it was very valuable to me. After the seminar, I became an alumna, which means that I can now come to awesome and cool Tech2Peace activities with other alumni. It was like whenever I'd get too busy in my own life, you know, studying and worrying and being stressed about life, I would just go to another alumni event, and I would re-meet the people that I already know, and I would have a lot of fun, and I would always never miss a chance to ask whatever it is that I want to ask. There are a lot of human resources in Tech2Peace, and what I mean by human resources are the people that are in Tech2Peace, from staff to participants to me. So right now, fast forward again to the future. I am a facilitator. This is my first Tech2Peace seminar. As a person that was always scared to express their mind or felt that they had too much of a weak personality to control the conversation or see where things are going, Tech2Peace gave me the opportunity to improve myself a lot and to challenge myself and to add things that I am proud of. I'm still proud of myself.
We're proud of you too, my son.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, my son. And maybe now we'll pass the floor. This was a very emotional story. Sorry, I didn't even know all these stories, so it's a bit new even for me, some of it. My son, you go out while Jake introduces himself, and maybe we'll move back to you and you will show us some things. Jake, you want to share about yourself a bit? And then we'll go to my son.
Yeah, I thought I would also maybe share some of the statistics and such, if folks are interested in that. I don't want to be too dry, but you know, oftentimes we hear a lot of nice stories, and we want to also show that, you know, we're really making an impact. So I'll try not to bore you. I'll also say for the second time today that I don't sleep on a bunk bed. We're here in Khatsava in the seminar. So like Uri said, we're trying to make a big effort to recruit folks who are not the traditional peace builders, not the left wing, the elitists, and the already convinced. So you can see here, 36% of our participants are actually from the Israeli periphery, means not Tel Aviv, basically, or Jerusalem. 18% are from the West Bank. We have 5% from settlements, which means we're actually bringing in, some of the most right-wing folks out there. And of course, East Jerusalem. When we look at the political ideology, we can see that the majority are actually between center left to center right. So in other initiatives, you really will see the majority being left wing, already convinced, already believing in peace, but we're really able to bring here the mainstream. Again, about the religiosity, same, 39% are traditional or religious. This is compared to, you might expect to see, even a higher percentage secular. Another issue in peace building is, just bringing folks that have always been in the same peace programs, recycling over and over. So we're seeing a diversity of experience in terms of, folks coming to Tech2Peace for the first time as a peace builder. I'll go also a bit into the impact. So this is a bit overwhelming, so follow me. I'll try to make it easier to look at. So if we go to our theory of change. So in the beginning, what we want to do is we want to build understanding, relationships, and skills. So this might seem like a low number, but the way we're measuring it, it's actually really high, that 76% are developing a strong sense of mutual understanding. And we have this quote, I can share a story. I never realized my core beliefs could hurt someone so much. I was in this dialogue, actually, a participant who's a settler was speaking to her really, really good Palestinian friends. And she was saying, I support the settlement movement. I come from a settlement. This is my home. And she was bringing her Palestinian friends to tears, just by saying that. And she had this moment where she's realizing, wow, I'm not even trying to hurt them, but my core narrative is hurting the other side. And it's not something to feel bad about, but it's something that she became aware of. And that's really, really important, that she became aware that the narratives are clashing with each other and how to navigate this relationship with her friends. We're having almost everyone really building friendships in the seminar and building high-tech skills. So by building this understanding, relationships, and skills, we're creating a lasting community. 74% of our alumni last year participated in at least one activity. This is crazy. Trust me, this is crazy. I see the statistics and it's wild. Yeah, come in. So this is a really impressive number. And what's most important for us is expanding the impact beyond the immediate circle of people who are coming into the room right now. So we want people to share about the program, to create projects that expand the program to other audiences, and really create impact in the rest of the society. So I can give you here a few examples of how we're making that impact. So our alumni have created 6 startups and initiatives that are having success. We are featured in the media all the time, so people learning about Tech2Peace and believing that this type of cooperation is possible. We're reaching huge numbers of people on social media who are really interested to learn how is tech being used for peace. And I'll just give one more example. We have one alumna, Zada Haj. She's a Palestinian 48, Arab citizen of Israel from the north. She created a startup accelerator with Jewish co-founders that is really getting a ton of attention and success. She was recently named Forbes 30 under 30 in Israel. So you have there millions of people who are witnessing that the possibilities of this type of meeting and cooperation. So I just had a few folks come into the room with me who I'm so excited to introduce. You guys want to come in?
Hey, Jake, you want to first see, before you move, okay, you're right. I wanted my son bit to show the atmosphere first, and then we'll go to your interview, okay?
Sure.
Right. So my son, give us a bit of a tour of the place, and then Jake will, yeah. So a few minutes just to see what the Tech2Peace seminar looks like, and then Jake will do an interview. My son.
Okay, so I hope you can hear me a little bit over the wind. Here we have the participants just chilling after a busy day. A participant brought with them a hammock and they're sitting now sleeping there. They were laughing more just a second ago, but it doesn't matter. These are the grounds that the participants stay at during the night. During the day, we're at a totally different building. Over there, we have a sort of a shed with a refrigerator that we keep our food supplies. Here we have a playground that no one ever uses because it looks so old. As you can see, there is plenty of space here for people to come, to talk. They have a lot of conversations. Their dialogues don't end after the sessions. I mean, they don't end when the session ends. Their dialogues continue for after the sessions. And as I promised you before, not all the participants, but as I promised Jenny before, I was going to show you the water cooler in which we fill our water bottles because we have to, because it is very hot in the desert and the sun is here and we have to keep hydrated all the time. So,
Allah shukran, my son.
Very important, water bottle.
Alas.
Can I share one last thing before you go to Jake and the participants? I mentioned that I had a big goal in my mind about approaching Jews, and after the seminar, honestly, after the seminar, when I got back to university, it was the first time that I dared to speak up in a lecture and ask questions that I wanted to ask. And to me, it was like a big step forward because just like it dissolved an invisible barrier that has been always there. So Jake and the participants, yalla, go.
Awesome. So thank you very much, my son. I'm trying to see how we can sit here comfortably. Yeah, we can put the laptop on the table. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Cool. So I'm here with Amir, Rotem, and Yuval. Maybe you can each say where you're from and how do you like identify yourself?
I'm a Palestinian who's living in Jerusalem. I'm 24 years old, and I'm really glad I'm here.
My name is Rotem. I'm from Tel Aviv, Jewish Israeli.
My name is Yuval. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Amek Hefer, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So can you guys tell me, like, did you know people from the other side before? And if you did, like, were you ever able to have these kind of like political discussions?
I actually I've been meeting people from the other side all of my life, basically, but I didn't have any deep conversation.
Mm-hmm. Why? Why do you think that is?
I don't actually know, maybe fear or nervousness. I don't know.
Yeah, thanks.
I got to interact with the other side a lot not too much, but in high school, in one program, like we had a program in English, and I was a counselor for youth in Yafo for a year, which I led the group of Muslim, Christian Arabs, and Christian and Jewish kids.
Mm. So if you already had these kind of opportunities, like why did you decide to come to Tech2Peace?
Because we haven't talked about politics. Like first I was a youth counselor, so I was the leader. I could not, it wasn't something we discussed. And in the school program I went to, we just had a night together at the hostel. We were together at a convention, and we spoke about life and just had fun, and we didn't have time to dig deeper into our identities.
Well, for me, I did have an interaction with the other side, but it's the first time that I had a chance to speak about stuff, because there's always taboo, status quo, things that we don't talk about. And it's really the first time that I had the stage to speak up, to listen.
Amazing. How does it feel? Is it hard, easy, nice?
It's everything together.
Yeah. How is the seminar going for you guys? Can you talk about anything that's good or hard or?
Well, it's only been 4 days for me participating in this seminar, You may think I'm exaggerating right now, but I feel a good connection to everybody in here, and I feel like this is my second family right now.
Habibi.
So do us. Thanks. I am super content and happy. I never expected to open up so quickly. And like, first of all, we just see each other as friends and we're hanging out with each other 24/7. We can't get enough. Like we sit till like the middle of the night and just talk about life. Sometimes about the conflict or about what we want to eat tomorrow for lunch. And it's amazing to be able to discuss with people who are friends. And it's also hard, but it's hard conversations that need to be talked about.
For me, it was amazing to see like that we were sitting together even after class until like midnight in the night, even later, only to speak up, to have as much as we can from each other, to speak about life, what are we doing in life, and to find out that there is a lot of similarities that we don't know about, and it was amazing for me.
Awesome. Do any of you have like one moment? I mean, if you feel comfortable to share, like I know that you had this moment in the first night when you were speaking about the flag.
Oh yeah.
Would you feel comfortable? Is it okay?
Yeah, okay. It's okay. I mean, we have the dialogues in which we have different topics we need to speak about, like tough topics about the conflict. And in one of the sessions, I found out that like in Israel, it's not allowed to go with a Palestine flag. If you do it, you get into jail. And for me in school, I was learning that it is a bad thing and everything, but right now I thought about it and it's only a flag. So it was like meaningful for me. Like I can go with my flag in Israel, I can do anything I want. And for the other end, like it's only a flag and they get into jail. So it was tough.
Yeah. And we were trying to go slow in the dialogue, but you were talking about the Nakba and Hatmal in the first night. I see there's a question from Ruth, if you want to ask. But you're muted, so if you can unmute yourself.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing. And your English is very good. I'm interested to know, first of all, I hope you don't mind me asking, but how old are you?
I'm 24.
I'm 24 too.
I'm also 24.
So I'm interested to know, did you serve in the army, the Israeli ones?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't.
I don't think you did, but so has the serving in the army made a difference to the way you see things?
You want to start?
Yeah, okay. I mean, in Israel, there's a mandatory law in which you have to go to the army. Nobody asks you if you want, if you don't want. For me, it gave me like the perspective of the narrative of Israel. Like that we need to defend ourselves and we need to build a state because there is no other place because of a lot of different stuff. But from the other end, when I finished the army, and right now I'm here, I can listen to what is the other side going through in all of this process, in all of this situation.
For me, I came into the army knowing the other side and the conflict and saying it was like I knew about it. It didn't. I didn't feel as if I was pushed a certain narrative in the army, to be honest. And I just remained myself. Like before the army, I knew I wanted to work for peace in my life. I left the army knowing I want to work for peace in my life, and it hasn't affected the way I see it, because I think I wasn't a fighter or anything. Like I didn't see anything that affected my point of view, but I was.
Okay, and I have one other question, and that is your peer group, your friends. Do you talk to them about what you're doing, and how do they react to what you're involved with?
Maybe Amir, you want to start?
On like my friends from home.
Yeah.
Some of them actually supported me, and some of them say you should say to me that I shouldn't be in this community. But here I am.
You're brave then.
Yeah.
For me, my friends and family were really happy for me, and most of my friends are studying in universities right now. So I know that if they could have, they would have joined us, but they're just studying. And my brother should have come here as well, but he's going abroad, so he couldn't. But everyone around me were really happy and not very surprised that I'm going.
For me, some of my friends are very supportive, and but some of my friends like telling me like, put attention, like take care, like everything like this. But in the end, I made a choice, and I believe that everyone here made a choice to come and like to speak, to meet each other, and I'm standing behind this choice.
Yeah, and I'll also say that some folks in the group that are coming from different backgrounds that are less supportive of this, also for that reason are less willing to speak on a webinar like this. So you're not necessarily like hearing all of the perspectives and all of the backgrounds in the seminar. I knew who to ask. Good.
Great, Jenny, you probably have some questions, the audience. So you kind of see what a seminar looks like, and it's great to see it live. And yeah, the floor is open to you, Jenny, or to anyone else.
Yes, absolutely. If anybody would like to unmute themselves, they can, and perhaps stick a hand up, and I'll try and do it that way. But the easier way is if you can write your question down, and I can read it out for you. While you're thinking about that, I want to ask how you think maybe I can ask Maysan and Adnan how you deal with the reality of Israel and Palestine outside of the program.
Adnan, would you like to start, or should I start?
I think it's you, my son.
I think it's me. The reality of the conflict outside of the program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just start off by this. Before the program, like it was a pretty well-known fact that you can't really speak about the conflict outside of the program. And not outside of the program. You can't really speak of the conflict openly and in public. I mean, you can speak of the conflict with other Arabs, that will be saying the same things, the same narrative, the same Palestinian narrative, and which will not add to any of my knowledge. After the program, I think that it's more normal, and it's more normal for me to speak to other Israeli Jews and to open conversations. And I think that the thing that has been keeping us separated is that we've been avoiding to talk about topics that we consider hard. And the reason we consider these topics hard, in my opinion, is because we're scared we're going to hurt the other person, or we're scared we're going to hurt ourselves by what we're going to say. So I definitely think that for me, it's an obligation to open discussions. They don't have to be about serious, hardcore, tense subjects that other people that haven't been through the program aren't in a place that allows them to understand anything other than what they have known all their lives. But give the impression to them that it's okay, you can talk to me about anything, and you can say whatever you want about my cause, you can say whatever you want about about what you want, about what you think. I'm not gonna take this personally. I'm not gonna take it to heart. You're not offending me personally, and I'm gonna try and understand where everything is coming from, and just understand where you're coming from. And like from my Israeli friends that have also finished the program, I have always found this understanding with them. I'd always talk to them heart to heart, and they would always give me the affirmation that made me feel better about sharing, and they would always give me the impression that I changed their perspective even by a little bit. So I think that the way to deal with the conflict outside of the program is to actually make it more normal to talk about things out in the open, and not just be scared that I'm gonna step on a landmine if I mention the subject, or I want to avoid this because I don't want the headache. I should also show Israeli Jews that I am okay with them, so they would feel okay with me. Because if I have learned anything from the program, it's that as much as as that, yeah, Israeli Jews were scared, like are gonna be scared of me because they don't know me as much as I was scared of them because I didn't know them, and to me they were intimidating. They also find me intimidating, although for me.
Okay, thank you. Rosemary Wolfson has her hand up, and maybe you could unmute yourself, Rosemary, and ask your question, please. And
yes, I think this has now partly been covered, but couldn't your actual lives be in danger from talking openly about these subjects? You know,
the question is for me, right? Just making sure.
Well, no, for perhaps all the speakers.
Ori, maybe be able to come in there.
Has my life been in danger? Not at all. My family is very respectful, but I can say that some of our participants are very brave. They are coming from places that they're really kind of, their communities are very angry at them, and if they would know what they're doing. So maybe us in this webinar are not a good example because we're on this webinar, so we're kind of a self-selective group. My son can tell you more about herself, Jake also. Adnan, I think, was dropped, but even Adnan couldn't say a lot to his family. To his family, yes, but not to his friends. So it's not like everybody's out in the open and telling about it. It's a bit like being gay. Sometimes you tell some people, you don't tell some people you hint, but you don't tell them exactly, you wink, wink. So it's not, and my son can tell you more about how the difficulties of kind of telling about this community.
My son, I'd like to do that.
I can definitely say this one thing and be 100% sure of it. Even the Palestinian participants that come to the seminar, we all have the sensation that if we talk about our cause, we are going to be betraying our cause, we're going to be betraying our people, we're going to be betraying everything that we've ever been taught. The feeling that we need to be so holding on to our land so much, holding on to our past, our history, past tragedies. I can tell you for sure that not every participant after the seminar is going to feel comfortable and open to talk about these things in the open, because even if they change themselves, it's hard to change the society. There's still a lot of work needs to be done, and people need to be more open-minded and willing to accept the others and understand themselves more and understand why they can't accept the other for all this time. But for me, I speak from a point of view of a human. Like to me, it's really easy to tell when an action that is being made is right or wrong, and I can't be clear with myself or my conscience if I don't say that no, this is wrong. If it's from my side first, even before saying it about the Jewish side.
Okay.
I can say though that like 76% of our participants said that they spoke about the program with their close circles, which again is a really, really huge number. So that can mean family, friends, workplaces, and that's really spreading the impact.
Mm-hmm. There's a question here from Wally. Does Tech2Peace have a goal going forward, say for 5 years' time?
Jake, you want to pick this up?
Yeah, sure. So we've basically locked down our kind of classic seminar model, the 12 days with 30 Israelis and Palestinians. This we're doing well. We're working on building the ability of the community to make further impact. We're aiming to start an initiatives accelerator that will provide support to Israeli and Palestinian binational startups and initiatives. We're continuing to build the capacity of the community by training new facilitators, leaders, tech instructors, etc., which is really making this a self-sufficient community. And we're really aiming to reach to more active high-tech professionals, CEOs, and government officials who have real influence in society, as well as propelling our alumni into these high positions. 10 years down the road, I'm sure we're going to have CEOs, successful entrepreneurs, government officials who are all alumni of Tech2Peace, who are all keeping in touch with each other. And that's important because, if you went through a program 10 years ago and you forgot about it, it's not going to make such an impact. But if you're still friends, if you're still talking, if you're still connected, and you're getting to be in those high positions, that's when you really have the inspiration and the networks to make an impact. So growing the network, expanding the network to more influential people. And yeah, we're building a real community that's, sustainable.
Lovely. And there's a question from Bob. I can't really quite understand it. Bob, maybe it would be better to unmute yourself and ask it yourself. It's about high-tech projects. You say, what high-tech projects do you want to pursue and how will this experience add to it? Not quite sure I understand that question.
Can I answer the question? Because this is a really exciting question for me.
Okay.
So first of all, the high-tech subjects that they offer in Tech2Peace are so far video editing, they teach Python language, there is AI, there is web development, there is 3D design, and there is also Adobe and Illustrator. So one of the projects that I personally wanted to pursue for myself, there's a cat here, it's meowing, sorry. One of the personal projects that I wanted to pursue for myself was something with AI models and neural networks, and I wanted to do something with computer vision. So before a while, we had an AI weekend in Nazareth, which was, sorry, which was led and organized by alumni and instructors at Tech2Peace. So I can say confidently that this weekend gave me a very good place to start. It gave me a kickstart, and I learned a lot of things in the web development, which is the high-tech course that I took in my seminar. And now I can say that I have the ability to build a website if I want to. And a lot of other people, like, they learn the basics here and they go and do things that they love in the world.
I can give another example of a technology initiative. One of our alumni is an algorithms engineer, and he's using artificial intelligence to create a blended Hebrew-Arabic script that can be understood by both Arabic and Hebrew speakers. So this is different than the Arab-Rit, which you might have seen, which is just stacked on top of each other. It's actually using AI to understand where the languages meet each other and creating this kind of blended script. I have on my phone. This is a Shalom Salam. This is a very basic one. I saw that Nelly was raising your hand and didn't get called on. Are you there, Nelly?
Hi, thanks, Jake. Thanks, everyone. I'm Nelly from Cyprus. I'm involved in similar initiatives to Tech2Peace, and I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. I just had a question. I saw on the document you shared with us that there have been 6 successful startup initiatives from the alumni of Tech2Peace. I was just wondering whether those startups were founded by Palestinian and Jewish citizens of Israel, or if they also comprise Israeli and Palestinian citizens, for example, Palestinian citizens from East Jerusalem or the West Bank. Thank you.
So yep. I'll just say, Jake, let me just say that the logic, I'm not talking about these specific 6. We have more than 6. We have maybe 6 that are already standing on their shoulders. They really have a company, but we have much more than 6 because people, I'll even say the beginning of startups and the ideation step. Every seminar has a hackathon, a one-day hackathon, that in the end of that hackathon, groups of Israelis and Palestinians, at least in the pitching sense of the word, they're coming to investors, they're kind of preparing themselves to be a startup. So at least they fake it for one day and think of themselves as entrepreneurs. So a lot of people have this initial ideas. Afterwards, we send a lot of our participants to a 8-month incubator, which is our partner, which is called 50/50 Startups. And these 50/50 startups, you can Google them. They are great friends of ours, and they are kind of a continuation program. So a lot of Israelis and Palestinians go through this 8-month program. Not all of them finish with the startups. These 6 that we told you are the really people that really finish the program and manage to open. But a lot of them are in some stage of developing an idea or doing it or kind of creating it or starting a piloting. So they're in the different stages of trying to be entrepreneurs. So it's actually much more than 6 people who are at least trying. And the beautiful thing about 50/50 Startup is its name kind of hints to that they have to be at least one Israeli and one Palestinian. And when I say Palestinian, it's usually a Palestinian from the West Bank or East Jerusalem. And yeah, Jake, you can give an example maybe if you want. Or
there's many examples, but yeah, some of them are only coming from Palestinians, some are coming from Jewish Israelis, and many are coming from both across the border, especially through our partners, 50/50.
Yeah. So we're proud not only of the 6 that already opened, but those that are trying. And I actually believe that people that will not start now a startup, but will get a job first, and for the first 10 years work, and they will open the startup at the age of 35, maybe 40, but they will find a partner from the other side because they already are in a community. So the question is not which startups are now, but which startups will be built in 10 years, and how many community members will, because every time we meet each other in alumni events, like my son said, we meet different people, different alumni from different cohorts. So there's a lot of mixing and intermingling, and people who are a bit older that are already kind of experienced are pulling people that are younger, and we're going to build a bigger community of people that are going to work together and kind of open startups together. So the future is hopefully rosy.
I think we're time for one last question. And there was a couple of people who said they wanted to ask a question, but there was no name, and they haven't written in the chat box. Is somebody, I don't know the name. Amanda, were you on? Could you unmute yourself?
I wasn't, but funny enough, a question has been forming in my head, which is, because our organization, the Abraham Union, also tries to, or does bring people together from different faiths to experience their similarities. I just wondered if any specific tools are used. I think it's fabulous that these young people are able to come together and acknowledge one another's feelings about the political situation without, ending in arguments. And I just wondered if there's any particular techniques that your facilitators use, or whether it's just simply being together and being, enables them to feel that oneness.
Okay, so I'll pick up this question, but Jake and my son are both also facilitators, dialogue facilitators, so they can pick up. The logic of Tech2Peace is, first of all, it's a long time together, 12 days together, and forget about the alumni program, which can be a lifelong experience, or at least 2-3 years of intensive. Let's forget the alumni program. 12 days together, even if we wouldn't do anything, good things would happen. But we do things. We don't just put them together and say, okay, just enjoy yourself. Half of the day of every day, 3 hours of every day are dialogue. And dialogue means, when we say dialogue, we mean dialogue. We don't beat around the bush. We do start by beating around the bush. We don't start very kind of in your face. We don't want to get them angry from day one. So the first days are team building and talking about culture and talking about identity and stuff like that. Already in the 3rd or 4th day, now they're in the 4th day, it's a very emotional day. Jake and Mason can maybe tell you things that are happening. Already from the 3rd or 4th day, things are getting more and more personal, more and more intensive. Very much about the conflict. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow are going to be very, very, very intensive days. So kind of we slide into very, very high, kind of, it's like a Gauss chart. We go very, very hardcore in the middle of the seminar. And then towards the end, we don't want to leave them with all these negative emotions and all these hard things. Anyways, things get better because, they are in the evening together. But we also look in the end towards the future and what we can build together. So the last day or two are a bit more kind of looking a bit from the side and seeing what we can do to solve things.
Thank you.
Can I answer you also a little bit about that?
Thank you.
To me, what made me change and what I felt was special about Tech2Peace was that first they introduced us to each other as humans, and then we started diving into the subjects one by one. And we did not start by talking about the conflict. We started by first discovering ourselves and then seeing things from how society treats us, and then coming back and seeing ourselves again, and then going back and seeing society all over again. And just like it's a very careful, well thought of curriculum for dialogue, and the facilitators are also magical and they are really trustworthy, and the cat agrees with me.
Thank you, my son. I'm really aware of the time, and I like to try to keep to time. So I think we're going to call that the last question. Thank you, Uri, Adnan, Maisan, and Jake for being with us tonight. And thank you for talking about your lives so openly and giving us an insight into how high tech can be a tool for peacemaking, and also for a greater understanding of the everyday issues that face Israelis and Palestinians. Thank you, Daniel, for all the techie help you gave for this webinar and always for Talk Matters. And if you want more information and you want to support Tech2Peace in Israel, Jake's your man, his email's in the chat. And also Uri's emails in the chat if you want anything to know any more. And also you're welcome to stay on afterwards to ask some more questions if you don't have to rush off. We're here, Talk Matters is here to move things on, and we're trying to enable more and more moderate Jews and Arabs to get to know each other. So let's acknowledge the achievement we've made so far, and you've all made by coming, participating, but let's also think about where we're going to go and what we want to get out of Talk Matters now. The bigger picture is enormous, but let's do something together. Let's start in a small way. So please, please keep in touch. If you have any ideas, let us know. If you can help, particularly with social media, we'd be delighted to discuss that, even a couple of hours a week. And most importantly, the goal that I spoke of before earlier, encouraging one more person to sign up for our mailing list, to come to an event, to engage in this conversation. Thank you very much for coming this evening, all of you. Thank you. And as I said, if you want to stay on, please do.